Welcome to Bass Habits episode number 91. Today we're talking about Nikolai Fraiture, bass player of The Strokes. Emerging from New York City in the early 2000s, The Strokes helped revive garage rock with their raw energy, sharp songwriting, and modern vintage aesthetics. Often the quietest member of the band, Nikolai's bass playing is a crucial part of their sound. Let's start with the gear. Nikolai's go-to bass is his 1970s Fender Jazz bass, a staple of his sound. For amps, he stuck with an Ampeg S40 Classic and an 8x10 cabinet for that thick, punchy tone. He does have a pedal board which includes a Boss ME50 and an Electro-Harmonix microsynth, but the bulk of his tone is the jazz bass played with the pick going through the Ampeg. Most of the Strokes production, the bass is really mixed up front, and even though parts are generally simple and functional, his position in the mix makes it a very recognizable element. The bulk of the Strokes rhythm section is Fraiture playing tight eighth notes in perfect sync with the drums. The instrumental break of Reptilia showcases how Fraiture can get out a little cool bass solo just by removing some notes from the rhythm pattern that's been going on the whole time. New York City Cops has a similar part. Once again, just taking off some notes from the main pattern. It's not what you play, it's what you don't play. And when you play eighth notes most of the time, when you stop doing that, it immediately stands out. Last Night is another perfect example. I turn around, oh baby, I don't care, no. The way his bass interacts with the rest of the band kinda reminds me of Carlos D and Interpol. In The Strokes, the guitars work more on arpeggios and riffs on the higher part of the neck, so the bass has a lot of sonic space to fill. Someday also features a cool bass line. Very long notes in the verses. Busier in the chorus. I will do my best. And the little melodic lines that connect the chords in the pre-chorus. You wanna stay by my side. Mind you, so far we have only talked about root notes. What Fraiture is really good at is adding pauses to make these simple lines sound cool. The funky-inspired Machu Picchu is another great example. The verse is practically empty. The pre-chorus sees a little more action. And the chorus gets really busy. Tap Out, another good example. Great dynamic changes, playing root 100% of the time. The root is the norm. There are many exceptions, like the verse of Easy of the World, where bass and drums create a melodic pattern which is the foundation of the track. What you mean, but watch what you say, 'cause they'll be trying to knock you when it started, the bass is more like a lead instrument, playing sparsely on the higher part of the fretboard. Razor Blade features a very cool bass walk-up. The bass spells the chord sequence, putting an emphasis on the major and minor quality of the chords, which are the first 4 chords in the key of E major. On Undercover of Darkness, the bass comes up with some cool and quite challenging arpeggios that underline the frequent key changes of the song, alternating Mixolydian and Aeolian licks. Speaking of modes, Juicebox, probably the most defining Strokes bass line, uses the Locrian mode, which is the rarest scale in music in general, and it's pretty much unique in a rock and roll context. Some pop or funky songs like Björk's Army of Me and Jamiroquai's Deeper Underground have Locrian bass lines, but in rock and roll, this might be just the one and only, so props to Fraiture for coming up with this. Nikolai Fraiture is a name that barely comes up in the bass community. He's very underrated, which is strange, especially considering how big the Strokes are. He might not be the flashiest bass player, but his playing is absolutely essential to the Strokes sound. His blend of restraint and groove is what makes their songs hit so hard. So what's your favorite Strokes bass line? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Thank you for watching. See you next time.